Hey, I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel. Give this video a like.
Check out our podcast below in the description as well.
This video is about Jimmy Garoppolo's injury. Here is what Adam Schefter said. He also tweeted about Kittle in the same tweet because you want to make it hurt as bad as possible. Jimmy Garoppolo expected to be sidelined with a minimum of 6 weeks, possibly longer if surgery is needed per source. We'll do another video talking about Kittle, but you can see Kittle's out 8 weeks. Could mean a season over. But let's talk with Jimmy because with him, we've seen him come back from this injury, and then he left worse off than he returned. So it makes you wonder if we'll see him again, or either one of those guys. But it makes you wonder if you'll see Jimmy again this year.
Well, I think on just the surface of his injury, there are durability concerns now. You know, he's battled an ankle this season all year long. He's now going to miss significant time. He's already missed a game and a half, right? So now he's going to miss potentially the rest of the season. Who knows? He missed the majority of a season with a torn ACL. He'd been hurt in New England. Like, this gets to the point now. We have evidence. You need to be prepared for this player to get hurt. If you are going to keep him on your roster, big picture, he's going to be your starting quarterback. When I say big picture, big picture just means 2021 with Jimmy. It's not,
right.
We're not talking like Mahomes or Watson or Herbert or something. But he's a durability concern. It's not even arguable anymore. And then there's just, okay, separate from the durability, he had some moments, and we defended him. And I think anyone with a brain that watched him play, he was really good in the second half last year. Against the Saints, against the Rams, in that Seattle game. Like, he looked like a guy that you can win a Super Bowl with. And then everything that happened in the playoffs and this year's has been an utter disaster. I think the question is just in the ether right now. Is this guy going to be on the team in 2021? And my answer right now is it's beyond up in the air. Like, I couldn't make a solid statement either way. But I do not feel confident that he will be on the San Francisco 49ers in 2021 in the fall. Like, whether they trade him during the draft, whether they trade him during the free agency.
You're not confident he's going to be their quarterback next year.
No.
Period.
And I don't even think he'll be on I don't think he'll be on the team. Like, not like he'll be the backup, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't think he would be the backup on this team. He'd either
be
the starting
quarterback. The one thing that could happen is you keep him because he is on a team-friendly deal. You draft a guy in the first or second round, and that guy beats him out, which you would say would be unlikely, but I think we consistently see, like, it would be a little different.
Yeah, it'd be tough, too, I think, for a guy who is viewed in the locker room as the leader to bring in a rookie and then have that rookie beat him out, which I think would be hard for that rookie to do, and have Jimmy be that backup. It's not like,
he's better than Tyrod Taylor, but it happened with Tyrod.
Yeah, but he is better than Tyrod Taylor.
Not this version of Jimmy this year.
No, but just his career with the 49ers. What's crazy, we talk about they didn't draft Mahomes. They didn't seriously consider Deshaun, who there was a point in time where I thought Jimmy could be better than Deshaun. That ship has long since sailed, sunk, put a hole in the side of it, and forget you ever said it. But we did. Tom Brady was an option this offseason, we thought. Garoppolo now will miss more games since he became a starting quarterback than Brady has missed since he became a starting quarterback in his whole career, right? Tom had the ACL year, then he had the 4-game suspension. But other than that, Brady doesn't – this guy's missed – Jimmy's going to miss the rest, in theory, a half of this season remaining, plus the games he's already missed. And he missed the ACL year. So
a lot of games, guy.
You have to think about Brady a little bit. I can't help but think about Brady a little bit today. And you and I think we're on the same page. We understood going with Jimmy, not Tom, in the offseason. But the reality of the situation, if he's not viewed as, if Kyle, we did a video about this after the game, right? Does Kyle view Jimmy's struggles this year like they were all ankle related? We don't. We don't think he should because Jimmy was struggling before he hurt the ankle the first time. So if that's the case, he's going to be at least considering other quarterback options. He would have to. And now the other part of this is, does this team go on and win 8 games? Do they win 9 games? If not, how high are they drafting? Are they drafting in a position to get a quarterback? Because Nick Mullins is going to be the guy now if they play, as long as the Packers are able to play Thursday night.
Well, do you think there's any way that, let's say they're decent the rest of the year, win 8 games, Mullins has his moments, but he's not like, he just is what he is, a backup quarterback. They're drafting like between 10 and 15. That you would just make the move of like trade Jimmy Garoppolo back to Bill Belichick and then just figure it out from there? Like trade him for
before
like a
you
fourth
have
round
somebody
pick?
else on the roster?
Yeah, and just get rid of the contract.
I don't think so. The
You just
reason I
can't
don't
risk
think
it.
well, I'm with you. I think it's just so up in the air whether or not he'd
That
be
is
back next
because
year.
I do think that is going to be the number one option of you could just trade him back on a cheap contract that Belichick would like for maybe like, fourth round pick and just get him off the books, get an asset back.
I just think you have to know who your next quarterback is before you do that. And I think it's why guys stay on teams longer than sometimes we think they should, because you just don't. It's hard to find who your next guy is. But
I think Derek Carr is a good example with the Raiders, and
Yeah, it's a
Jimmy's
great
one
example.
more.
Now, I think this team is better than the year Jimmy got hurt. But that when Nick Mullins was their starting quarterback, they ended up with the second pick in the draft. Right?
This team is a lot better, but Kittle's gone, so
A lot of people are gone.
yeah. So I would draft a quarterback no matter what. I'm not in the Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins. One thing, those guys aren't getting cut, so you have to trade for their gigantic contracts. And to me, they're not getting rid of Jimmy Garoppolo for one of those guys that make way more money. It doesn't pencil financially. We found out after the game, we're like, why is Dante Pettis returning kicks? Because he didn't have the cap space to elevate a dude and make him a 53-man roster. Like, they are tied against it. They get rid of Quan Alexander. Like, they are kind of just in a weird spot.
That was the first thing that happened Monday.
Yeah, and Jimmy's contract is by far their biggest, and it's also their most easy to shed because they can just cut him for nothing. And I do think that the Belichick thing, you can trade him, but you're not going to, like, sign a Fitzpatrick and then just hope to draft a guy. That's why, to me, the most likely scenario that I probably see, if I'm just guessing from just who knows, just a lot can change, they keep Jimmy and they just draft a guy relatively high in the first or second round, right? And then you just kind of let it play out.
Yeah.
And then it puts some heat on Jimmy to play better, and it also, like, that guy becomes a major storyline, like if Jimmy struggles to come in.
Yeah, and look, it's not the same as Alex and Colin.
He did just get a 6-year contract extension, so it has, like, there's not – the coach is just on scholarship for a while, right? That's not no question. So that changes it a little for me. Like, it's easier to, like, you can slow play it. Like, you're not in some rush.
Yeah, or you can do non-traditional things. You could have a $26 million backup quarterback if you wanted, right? It's not. I was going to say it's not Alex and Colin, because Colin was not a first-round pick, so he wasn't making first-round money, and Alex was not making this level of money that Jimmy's making if he's under contract next year. But remember, that was kind of the operation with the Niners. It was like, well, it's not crazy because you got a backup quarterback who's making a lot of money and your starter's cheap. When the Niners went with, and then who's their other high? Didn't they have another highly paid backup? Was it
Gabbert?
Was it Gabbert? Anyway, the point is, yeah, I mean, you could pull that off. I mean, I'm just, again, I'll say this: I would not. I'd have a hard time seeing them getting rid of Jimmy before they at least know what they're going to do next.
I do think there's an influx of quarterbacks right now. Who knows how Tua looks? Like, he might become available. Sam Darnold's available. Like, there are just going to be just names that throughout our lifetime, young players don't become available that fast. And then there's just like this Jameis thing sitting out there that you could probably get for cheaper. There's going to be a ton of guys in the draft. I would say some years in the past, let's just go over the last decade, there have been off seasons where you go like, it would be a lock. You would just bring Jimmy back. There wouldn't be a guy to draft. I do think you can already see the opening of, like, there are just going to be a lot of names out there kind of in the stratosphere of football free agency, trade, and draft, right?
Yeah, yep.
That's just – and it could be just historic in terms of the names that have some credibility behind them and that are cheap. I also think this guy, Kyle's proven now yesterday to me Jimmy couldn't move, but he's yanked Jimmy before. I don't think he gives a shit about all the crap that historically coaches worry about, like who's getting paid what and stuff. Like, if Jimmy was on the team and let's say they drafted a guy with the 11th pick in the draft, if they ended up going like 6 and 10, if that guy was better, like that guy will play. Now Kyle's offense, as Matt Ryan's told us before, as I think you saw last year with Rodgers, is difficult on quarterback. It's not like you just hit the ground running, right? I think that's why he likes Mullins and CJ probably over just random backups, because they really know his offense. So it would be very difficult from a schematic learning standpoint of a player.
Yeah.
And Jimmy now would have a lot more experience in the offense, clearly, than any rookie would. But I think he's the type coach, a little Belichickian, that just won't have zero emotion with that stuff. Like, he's just trying to win. And I think this year has rattled him a little bit.
I think it's probably more likely that you have a coach who acts like that when they're in charge of the roster there's not a GM who's sensitive about the guy they paid being benched, right? Because it makes them look bad. He's just trying to win every game at all costs. And so if that means the guy making a lot of money doesn't play today, that's what it means.
Niners did. Now, we like the trade, but it was a pretty cutthroat move. A homegrown, all-star caliber, high-character guy they traded his ass for the 13th pick. Now, listen, it just made it economically checked off, but they traded a team, the Colts now, they're 5-2, surely headed to the playoffs. He's their best player. He's the Colts' best player. And the Niners loved him. Kyle loved him. There is a cold nature to Kyle for being like, unlike Belichick, who is just cold, it doesn't feel like Kyle is loving and the players like him, but he's proven just last year. I don't know exactly what the move is. I think we'll get a better feel for that over the next 3 months of like the names and the situations and once we know the draft order. But he did just show us last year he's cold-blooded because at the end of the day, that wasn't John Lynch's move. That wasn't Kyle had to sign off on that, right? It wasn't a GM move that the coach had to go along with. Yeah. Kyle signed off on that move, and it was cold-blooded. Now, the quarterback is a more important position than a D tackle, but still, man, that was a pretty wow moment for the night. Just Kyle's tenure as the boss.
Yeah. And I would rather have a coach that's not attached to players than one that is. But part of that move too was like, did you nail the Kinlaw pick? Feels like they did at this point.
Right? Kept Armstead, kept Jimmy. It actually kept some depth they wouldn't have had. They'd been really screwed with just Buckner making $20 million. And some like Armstead would be Hyder Jr. 3.0, right? It'd just be a lot more randoms. It was the right move, but you see a lot of teams, just homegrown guys that are good character guys, like they typically pay those guys.
Yeah. Well, let's finish with Jimmy here, because I think you're right.
Jimmy's not their guy.
It could have been the last time we saw him on the field. If I had to lay it down, I'd say I just tend to lean it's. Quarterbacks are usually in a place longer than this conversation usually comes up a lot sooner than the quarterback actually leaves because it's hard to find the replacement. But I think the point you're making on Armstead is, or on Buckner, Kyle's not going to wait around. And I understand if he doesn't wait around because this is not, you could say, yeah, Jimmy, the ankle was a big part of this, but this conversation started before he hurt his ankle, albeit that was in week 2. Right, he just didn't look good against Arizona to start the season. So
I do think now we have a long list of quarterbacks over the last 4 or 5 years that were rookies and you could win with. Like you're seeing it right now with Herbert. You saw it years ago with Dak. Derek Carr started early on. Mariota, like you just get these quarterbacks because now Kyle's offense isn't like collegiate, but he's clearly talented enough where he could adapt. And you just get that player in the first or second round, you save a lot of money. And the one thing we've seen with Kyle, for an offensive coach whose offense is his baby, he does think big picture with his squad. So he'd go, listen, we get rid of Jimmy's salary at $25 million. We'll draft. We got this group of quarterbacks. We'll get one of I can win with these guys because my team's going to be fucking good, right?
Yeah. To me, John, now
because I don't think he's a quarterback-dependent individual.
He's not
in his mind.
No, but the big picture question I have for the Kyle Shanahan era is: will he end up with a true blue chip centerpiece franchise quarterback?
It's hard to find that guy though, right? If you're not drafted in the top 5.
Yeah, part of that is not. But will there be? The Eagles have made big trades. The Chiefs have made big trades. It's only half of the equation. The guy has to be there, and then he has to pan out to be that player. But a lot of it's luck. There's no doubt. But will they? Part of that is, will they try to get that guy? Will they be looking for? Hey,
will they package their second-round pick from pick 12?
We think Carson Wentz is a franchise quarterback. We got to go get him. We think Sam Darnold's a franchise quarterback. We got to go get him.
We'll trade the Bengals our pick 14, next year's 1, and a 3 for their 5th pick, right? To get Justin Fields or Trey Lance or whoever.
What if the Chargers end up in the top 7, right?
Well, I think the Chargers, Bengals, some of these teams are going to be there. The Cowboys, if Dak comes back, you're going to have options to trade up. You're right. The Niners have really only moved down so far in the Lynch era. I mean, they've moved up late in the first round.
They bounced back for Ayuk. But
yeah, we're talking Bosa, McGlinchey, last year with Kinlaw, they moved down a spot. Like, we haven't seen them go like, oh damn, they just moved up 7 spots to pick 7.
Who does Kyle love?
Yeah. Because we actually did see it this year. Now, it was in the 20s. It was Ayuk.
Yeah.
He's shown when they got a guy, they will target a specific individual. So actually, I think they would, because we've seen it now. They love Kinlaw. They loved Ayuk. They loved Bosa. They do have a guy.
For a quarterback, would Kyle do it for a quarterback?
I don't really know what type of quarterbacks he likes. That's what's I don't know. And when I watch all these quarterbacks in college, I go, would Kyle like this guy? I don't know.
Yeah, either.
Because we know what wide receivers and defensive linemen he likes, right? And what kind of – I actually know the majority of guys on the team, what he looks for. Quarterback, I don't have a feel for, because I don't think he likes Jimmy, and that was the one quarterback he traded for.